Well, good afternoon, everybody. It is Friday, June 19th, also Juneteenth. I'm Casey Mason. Thanks so much for joining us here for our afternoon stream show. I'm going to go over a couple of our top headlines we're working on for you today, and then stand by. We'll get you right over to meteorologist Arden Gregory with a look at our day. All right, let's get right to those headlines we are talking about today here. So we do have some new information on that deadly crash that took place in Davis County. It happened yesterday afternoon on the Highway 60 bypass near Carter Road. Deputies say that 52-year-old Amy Mung of Owensboro was traveling east on the bypass when she crossed the median and then collided with a van that was heading westbound. Now, we're told she died shortly after arriving at the hospital. Meanwhile, the other driver, 71-year-old Susan Penley of Owensboro, was taken to the hospital. No word yet here on her condition, but of course, we'll follow this story and keep you up to date. All right, we are following a story here too now. The son of the man that was killed in an officer-involved shooting is accused of threatening an Evansville police officer. So since that shooting in November, we know Everett Nunn's son, Drayden Nunn, has been very vocal about saying what police did was wrong and following every step of this investigation. Well, police say that he did make a social media post on Facebook with a paragraph about how he misses his father since the shooting happened last November. It shows him standing next to his late father at a basketball game, but it also mentions getting justice through bloodshed and wanting to see the officer who shot his father, quote, dead in front of him. Police say that this rose to the level of intimidation, resulting in the arrest. Now, coming up a little later here tonight on 14 News, we're actually going to hear from Nunn himself since his release, and we're also going to talk to police as well. We'll have that story coming up on our 14 News at 6 o'clock streaming show. All right, to another top headline we've been following here for you today, a 14 News update we want to share. The fourth and final paycheck for Oakland City University employees was supposed to be issued on Thursday, and yet again, the timeline for all of those checks continues to be pushed back. So what we know here is OCU President Dr. Ron Dempsey told employees yesterday that the donors will have the money next Monday. Well, he also said the $4 million in investor money would come next week, but due to previous missed deadlines from the donor, Dr. Dempsey says that selling the Deaconess Clinic building right there on campus is now their most likely source of payroll funds. He says they have a purchase agreement and they are working toward closing. Of course, we've been following this story for you a while now, and we're going to keep you guys up to date on that story as well. As I mentioned earlier, it is Juneteenth. Our final story we want to share today is happening today. Evansville is going to be hosting the 7th annual Juneteenth celebration over at Bayard Park neighborhood. Now, this is going to be free. It's family friendly, a celebration there honoring Juneteenth, and it'll feature live entertainment. We're going to have food vendors, local artisans, cultural programming, and community organizations as well. Officials say the event continues a 7-year tradition of bringing the Evansville community together, all to celebrate freedom, history, and unity. And it's all going to kick off later this afternoon at 2 o'clock. All right, finally here, just want to give you guys a quick reminder that we are going to be online this afternoon for your 4, 5, and 6 o'clock newscast. That is, of course, due to the U.S. Open Golf Championship that'll be covering right now on WFIE. So again, you can actually stream, though, our 4, 5, and 6 o'clock news a little later today. So we'll still be on just through our streaming platforms. We'll go ahead and stand by now. We've got meteorologist Arden Gregory coming up with a look at your forecast. That'll do it for our news portion today. Thank you guys for hanging out with us, and we'll stand by for Arden.
On your local news and weather throughout the day by watching the 14 First Alert streaming shows. At 8:30 a.m., get your First Alert forecast to plan the day ahead and catch up on the news that happened overnight with the 14 News Sunrise team. In the afternoon, get the latest headlines, forecasts, and a preview of the stories we're working on with the 14 First Alert streaming show at 2:30. And get an in-depth look at the 14 First Alert forecast so you're ready for the next big thing with the 14 First Alert weather show at 9 p.m. Watch the 14 First Alert streaming show that fits your schedule and works best for you. Streaming on your phone by downloading the 14 News app and the 14 First Alert weather app. On your smart TV by using the 14 News streaming app. And stream anytime on Facebook, YouTube, or on 14news.com. Stay connected and stay informed by watching the 14 First Alert streaming shows on your favorite streaming devices.
Good afternoon. I'm 14 First Alert meteorologist Arden Gregory. Here's just kind of a snapshot of the weekend forecast. Obviously today is Friday, mostly sunny. It's pretty warm out there, but it's not terribly humid. All in all for June, not too shabby. It will get a little hotter and a little more humid tomorrow. There's a very isolated chance of rain. Then we get into Sunday, Father's Day, which is now a First Alert weather day. Now the good news is things are trending later, so I do think a good chunk of the day on Sunday may end up being just fine. This is going to be Sunday night through the overnight hours and then carrying over into Monday. We now have First Alert weather days for a risk of flooding, along with storms that may be capable of producing damaging wind and even a tornado threat. So we'll talk more about that in just a second. I want to get you through the rest of today and tomorrow first. We'll kind of go in order here. So let's get into today and tomorrow, then we'll talk about those alert days on Sunday and Monday. Here's a look at satellite and radar right now. Those little white dots you see on the map are clouds. We do have just some very small, fluffy, fair weather clouds out there, but mostly sunny skies across the tri-state, and it's going to stay mostly clear to maybe partly cloudy as we go through tonight and into tomorrow, but still nothing really exciting until we get to Sunday and Monday. Our temperatures are currently sitting in the lower 80s. It's 82 in Evansville and Henderson. So if you're headed out to the WC Handy Blues and Barbecue Festival in Henderson, some good news there. Temperatures aren't going to climb a whole lot higher. We'll maybe just tack on another degree or two, but we'll be hanging out in the low to maybe mid 80s through the next 2 or 3 hours here. And then our temperatures will gradually start to drop back through the 80s and then dip into the 70s once the sun goes down. Partly to mostly sunny and dry. So all in all, great weather if you are headed out to the WC Handy Fest on the Henderson Riverfront. Always a good time there. Overnight tonight, partly cloudy, cool with temperatures dropping back into the low to mid 60s and calm. There will be almost no wind at all out there tonight. So partly cloudy, cool and calm across the tri-state overnight. Tomorrow, we'll see a few more clouds than what we are today, but still quite a bit of sunshine is going to manage to break through. Partly cloudy, warmer and a little more humid too, because notice our wind direction starts to pick up from the southwest, so that's pulling warmer, more humid air into the tri-state. That's going to push us into the mid to maybe even upper 80s in some locations, and with the humidity, it may feel a couple degrees hotter than it actually is. Now, I mentioned there is this very isolated chance that we could get a pop-up shower on Saturday. I think many of us will stay dry, but a brief shower is possible at some point in the day on Saturday. Many of us will stay dry though Saturday and even into Sunday morning. Then as this low pressure system comes in from the west, our rain chances really start to pick up the later into the day that we get on Sunday. Now, I will say this makes the rain look much more widespread than it's going to be Sunday afternoon. I think we will start to see some rain chances Sunday afternoon, but I think they'll be pretty hit or miss, kind of scattered to start. That chance for more widespread rain, including heavy rain and possibly some strong to severe storms, that's really late in the day, more like overnight Sunday night. So most of you will already be done with your Father's Day plans and at home, probably in bed by the time these storms roll through. This is looking more like an overnight threat. So this is going to be Sunday night, and then those storms carry over into early Monday morning as this cold front passes through the tri-state. Then the rain starts to become lighter and more scattered as we go through the day on Monday before tapering off completely Monday night, and Tuesday is looking partly cloudy but dry. As for our thunderstorm chances, notice we're kind of right at the eastern edge of this. All off to our west is sitting at a level 2 risk for severe weather, and then the tri-state, much of the tri-state included in that as well. As you get kind of east of I-69, you see more of a drop off into that level 1 risk, but the messaging is pretty much the same for the entire tri-state. I think the worst of it is probably going to be to our west on Sunday, but a few isolated to scattered strong to severe storms are certainly possible on Sunday as this line of storms rolls through Sunday night. Now within those thunderstorms, we could also see some very heavy rain, and keep in mind there's also a more scattered chance for some rain ahead of that main line Sunday afternoon, and more rain kind of lingering on the back end of this into Monday as well. So all told, many of us will probably pick up 1 to 2 inches of rain Sunday into Monday. But if you get caught in a thunderstorm with a good downpour, up to 3 inches of rain certainly cannot be ruled out, which is part of why flooding is one of the threats that we're monitoring for. These storms may also produce damaging winds, maybe some small hail, and it's conditional. We'll have to wait and see if the ingredients come together just right, but I wouldn't rule out the threat for tornadoes Sunday night as well. So anything is possible Sunday night. I don't think it's a widespread severe weather threat, but we could see a few strong to severe storms, and any of those may be capable of producing damaging winds, small hail, heavy downpours and flooding, and maybe even a tornado. So you'll certainly want to stay weather alert as we go through Sunday night. And again, that alert carries over into Monday as well, as this is kind of an overnight threat that'll probably end in the very early morning hours on Monday. Notice the cold front bringing us those storms also cools us down a bit. We're looking at highs in the mid to upper 80s Saturday, and again for Father's Day. Father's Day is also the summer solstice, by the way. So Sunday is the first day of summer, Father's Day, and an alert day all rolled into one there. Then it cools off a bit. We're looking at upper 70s on Monday, lower 80s Tuesday. Then we gradually start to warm up, and I think by the end of the week we'll be more into the low to mid 80s. I do want to point out that temperature trend does keep us below average essentially through the whole next 7 days. This weekend will be pretty close to normal for this time of year, but then we're running slightly below average then as we go through most of next week, but gradually trending back up. The extended outlook then for next weekend and into the beginning of July even does show a trend back toward above average temperatures, but it also comes with a trend toward above average precipitation. So we may be talking about heat as well as storm and rain chances as we get toward next weekend and into the start of the following week. The hazards outlook, notice there are some areas, not including the tri-state, but to our southeast and to our southwest that are already outlooked for potential dangerous heat in the extended outlook. The tri-state is in kind of the southeast corner here of a rather large section of the United States. This includes several states that are all outlooked for the potential, the possibility that we could maybe get some heavy rain from Saturday, June 27th through Monday, June 29th. So again, while it looks like for this next 7 days, Sunday into Monday is really kind of the next big thing we're tracking. Notice some isolated rain chances do start to creep in by the end of this next week, and by next weekend into the start of the following week. Woo! I just fell off the step. Next weekend into the start of the following week, we could maybe have some rain, or maybe even some heavy rain and thunderstorms. But that's, again, more than a whole week away, so it's something that we'll have to keep an eye on for you there. All right, William talking about all the tornadoes that we had earlier, this past week. About a week ago, we had some tornadoes. Just yesterday morning into the night before, there were some tornadoes just north of us. There's been a lot of severe weather just outside of the tri-state recently. So while we have not had a ton of tornadoes here locally, when you look at the state totals for Illinois and Indiana, the totals are pretty high so far this year. Laura Gray watching from Dawson Springs. We always appreciate you. And Cheyenne asking, how big of a tornado threat? I think the tornado threat for Sunday night is, I'll call it conditional. If things come together in just the right way, there could be a tornado threat on Sunday night, but it's certainly not a guarantee. I think the heavy rain and the strong winds are the more likely threat on Sunday night, but we are monitoring for the possibility that if things come together just right and the ingredients align just so, we could certainly see tornadoes on Sunday, but I think it would be a more isolated and conditional threat. So I think the main focus, Cheyenne, would be on the heavy rain and the straight line winds within these storms, but I wouldn't rule out tornadoes as well. I hope that answers your question. All right, I'm not seeing any other questions in the comments, so I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up. Casey mentioned it before, but I'll mention it again. Because of the U.S. Open, we will not be on the air this evening, so you will have to stream us if you want to catch the news and weather headlines this evening on 4, 5, and 6 o'clock newscasts. All three are only going to be on streaming, but you can do that, on your phone, on your TV, on a tablet, anywhere that you've got access to the 14 News website or the 14 News app, Roku, Amazon Fire, all of those different places where you can find us streaming. That's where you're going to have to catch your news and weather headlines this evening at 4, 5, and 6. We will be back on the air at 10 though, so you can catch us then. And I'll do another streaming show here tonight at 9 with an updated look at those alert days and the potential hazards there as well. All right, with that, I'm going to wrap this up. If anybody's headed out to the WC Handy Fest in Henderson, it does look like you're going to have good weather for it, so I hope you have a great time. Hope everyone has a good weekend. But again, stay weather aware. Keep checking in all weekend long for more updates as we get closer to these alert days, because there is a risk for severe weather Sunday night. And that continues overnight and even into Monday morning. So make sure you're staying weather aware, as there will be a lot of updates on the exact timing and threats the closer we get to these storms. Okay, so you want to stay tuned throughout the weekend on this. Everybody have a great rest of your day.